Welcome to our Better Not Perfect podcast audience. So great to have you back with us again. And if you've been following along in season one, we've had some really good conversations where I've been introducing you to me, Dr. Shay, author of Better Not Perfect, From Hot Mess to Life Success. And we've just been in dialogue about this journey towards better. And in season two, I'm actually bringing to you some dynamic women who have been part of my better journey, some that are new friends and some that I've known and who have been in my life for a while. And today, I am so pleased to have Tiara Johnson in the studio with me. And say hi, Tiara.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Dr. Shay.
Yeah, so you are very welcome. Tiara is an emerging professional in the field of education. Um, I've known her throughout her undergraduate years and her graduate school, and now she's out there taking the world by storm as a new and burgeoning professional. So I'm very proud of her and what she's been able to achieve and accomplish.
I appreciate that. And thank you for being a part of my journey.
Mm. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, Tiara, what I ask all of our guests. When you hear better, not perfect, what does that mean to you? What does that say to you?
Yeah. When I think about like better, not perfect, what comes to mind to me is of life just being, like I said to you, a journey. And we become better because we have experiences that teach us and give us a deeper understanding. But there's still work to do. And so that's what I get from that title.
Yes, yes. So we're on this journey. There's work to do. I like that. I would also say life's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Right.
And so, some of us on this journey, we start out really strong and then we
Mm-hmm.
falter a little and then we become tired and we need a little respite and we need some
Yes.
supports and some scaffolding and some infrastructure. And sometimes we hit a little
Right.
bumps in the road. So
Mm-hmm.
in my book, particularly in chapter one, I talk about a bump sort of at that midpoint of my life, chapter one, called A Hot Mess. And I usually like to start there because that's the beginning of the book and it tells the story of me, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
older than where you are now, a few years older than you. But on my journey, of perfectionism, because that's one of the things I really struggled with because of some early losses, early missteps in life.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to be around 28, 29, I started to feel that life was good. I was succeeding in some areas of my life. Professionally, I was succeeding. As a mom, I was succeeding. I was involved in my community. I was succeeding. But relationally, I was faltering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an area that
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to succeed in because I was coming up on 30. And in my culture, family, community, that age of 30, if you weren't married or engaged or something by that time, you were given this look like, what's
Right.
wrong? What's going
Right.
on with her?
Mm-hmm.
So I started to sort of act out. Not everybody acts out, but I was definitely acting out. I know you read the book. You read
Mm-hmm.
how Dr. Shay was
I did.
acting out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you think about your better journey, and have you struggled with perfectionism at all, and how has that manifested in your life, in your experience?
Yes, absolutely. I thought that the chapter one was very relatable to me because I think perfectionism spewed up in my life like recently, honestly. I feel like I never really acknowledged that or realized that I was operating from that place. until I realized it. And then um, in this space now of like just mid 20s, finally, like you said, emerging professional, trying to figure out what life looks like. What does it mean to be an adult? And really walk my own individual walk, not what my dad said, not what my mentor said, not, you know, what any community that I came from said or that supports me says, but how do I want my life to look? And so with that, I've been learning to not walk in perfection by just really doing the best that I can and, you know, allowing the process to happen because everything is not going to go the way that I want it to go. But I just recently realized that I've been operating or at least trying to operate in perfectionism, and it hasn't been doing me well. So, yeah.
So, you mentioned something. You mentioned sort of, I'm going to paraphrase here, but the standards
Mhm.
that others may place on you. So,
Yeah.
people who love you, care about you, be they friends or family or mentors, they have a vision for how your life should unfold.
Yes.
They love you, they see certain things in you, and they say, well, why don't you try this or be this or do that? What's it like to try to start to get to a place where you realize you need to sort of blaze your own path? How does that feel and what are you doing around that?
Yeah, for me, it has really been for me to, like, lock in my faith and to be kinder to myself of when I think about my life, and my path, I've never not been in school up until these past 2 years. And so I think, um, I don't know, I don't wanna misdiagnose it, but I think even just with that, processing all of that, there's, like, this stigma when you're pursuing education, it's like a PTSD of like you always feel like you have to achieve something. And so when you're just going through the normal pace of life, it's like, am I doing enough? And so I feel like I had to, and I am relearning to have a better relationship with myself. And so that's the one thing that, or the one area that I've really been working on. And that looks like me just affirming myself. So writing down things and telling myself what I am, letting myself know that where I am is okay, and also reminding myself what the things that I already achieved, and then also just telling my family and my friends of like this is my life, and so setting clear boundaries and being confident in that, and so that's been working for me.
Wow, Tiara, that is wisdom. I wish I knew to do all of that at your
It
age.
takes courage. It takes a lot
Yeah.
of courage.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. So when you go into those funks that sometimes we get into, how do you encourage and inspire yourself? How do you boost yourself out of those lows?
You know, for me, I expose the things that I'm feeling to my mentors, such as you, or to, the people like my leaders, or just people that I know will give me wise counsel. When I feel like I can't find that within myself, to expose those things so they can speak truth to me. And so I glean into my community because there's a reason why they're the people that's in my life are there. And so I really like take hold and I use those resources, you know, that works for me and makes me, I get what I need to keep going forward.
Wow. So it sounds like you would encourage others to sort of get their own board of directors. Or what I call,
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely. Keyword wise counsel,
yes.
not people that are going to enable bad habits or behaviors, people that have reached a certain level, whether that's in your faith, whether that's in your professional aspirations, physical, like whatever, holistically, people that already touched those achievements that you're pursuing, that's been where you are, that can speak life into you, not no one that's never been through anything, or they're not on the same track, or trajectory of where you're going. So people that, like I said, has been there, and they can tell you, okay, I've been through that. I dealt with those emotions or those feelings. This is how you get through that.
Yes. And what I really
Hmm.
love about what you just said is that it requires you to show up authentically and be willing
Hmm.
to trust and be able to share these honest feelings down inside you. And it also requires someone who's willing to also speak up and expose their past, and to say, you know what, Tiara, girl, I've been there, I did that, and this is how I got over, and this is how
Yep.
I got through, and this is what I learned, and you can do it too.
Hmm.
One of the things I say is that I really, the way I live is I have a mentor for different things in my life, because one person can't be a mentor for all. So if I know you enjoy music, I would not be a good
Hmm.
mentor for you in the area of
Hmm.
music, because that's not
Right.
something I do. So
Hmm.
I have a mentor that helps me to stay on track in my marriage. So a woman that
Hmm.
I've seen and I've admired, she has a successful marriage. And
Hmm.
so she's the person I go to for wise counsel. I have a
Hmm.
professional mentor, someone who's really killing it on a career path. And now, because I'm in this new phase of life where I become a solopreneur, entrepreneur, now I'm in search of a mentor who's done that too, who's pivoted out of a
Right.
C-suite role and took that courageous step and now has launched their own business. And so I'm wise enough to know that I need guidance in that area too. And I definitely
Right.
learn from different podcasts. And so I find ways to learn, but having that person as well. I have a spiritual mentor, that guides
Right.
me on my faith journey, someone who is strong in the faith, and I turn to them. So but the key thing is with all of these individuals, they have to be people that you feel you can show up and be authentic with. So
Right.
how have you always been able to be so open, or is that something that you've had to sort of find the courage to be?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dr. Shay. So I think for me, when I think about like just my childhood and um, my young adult years of, I think it's always been easy for me to be open. I think throughout the journey, I've learned that everyone doesn't deserve access to you in that way. And so I've been learning how to navigate, how um, to have a open heart to people, but to be wise on what I share. And so I feel like that's still a work in progress for me. And I'm learning how to be vulnerable and be authentically myself, but also be wise in that. And so, but yes, I have always been open. I have always been open, too open sometimes. And it's not always a good thing. It's not.
Yeah. Well, because there's consequences, right? When you write a
Yes.
tell-all memoir, you know, you
Hmm.
are putting your life out there. So there were stages and steps that I had to go through. I had to talk to my family and say, I'm going to share this. Are you okay with that? And then, on the back end, there'll be some people who are part of your tribe who will cheer you on and say, yes, yes, yes. Thank you for writing that. Thank you for sharing that. And then, you may have some people that will, just be like, that, oh, wow, I
Right.
can't
Right.
relate. I've never been through that. And it's okay that we can say, well, I haven't exactly experienced that struggle that you've experienced, but I'm always a
Hmm.
little leery of people who don't have any faults, any flaws, made no
Right.
mistakes, no struggles.
Right.
They try to
Right.
show up perfect all the
Perfect.
time.
Tried.
Try,
Yeah, tried.
try. And then when you're around them long enough, you begin to see, that it's an illusion. Um,
Mhm.
but you just know too that that's just where they are on their journey. And that if they keep
Mhm.
living, life will sort of beat perfection out of you. Sometimes it's just
It will.
sometimes it's just about timing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now you are launching your career and you are in a new town and you're um originally a New Yorker. Now you're a Southerner.
Mhm.
Now you're
I am.
so
I am.
how what are some tips or advice that you would give maybe the audience about when you other people, other women who maybe they're graduating, they've graduated from school and they're making a big move and they're making a lot of changes and there's a lot of transition. Um, what would you encourage them? Do you have any tips, things that they should do, things that they should shy away from?
Yeah. My thing of like when you said that the prayer that I have been saying to the Lord is like, help me to never look to the world to tell me who I am, but help me to always find who I am in you. Because when you're in new spaces, um, you can tend to like struggle. Well, for me, I'll use I statements. I struggled or have been struggling with imposter syndrome. Do I belong here? Do I deserve to be here? And so I have to remind myself that there are things in me that are evident and I deserve to be here. I'm equipped to be in these spaces. But also, there are things that I have yet to discover about myself. So help me to trust the journey, to just trust the process and not be scared to fail, not be scared to not know everything. Right? Be humble enough to learn. And so always be a student, like to never think that I've arrived to a space or a moment that I know everything, because I can learn from anybody, anything. And then just always be kind to everyone, because you don't know who knows who. Like anybody, you could be at a store, grocery store, and you meet somebody that can change your life. And so just always making sure that you lead in with kindness. Those are the three things that just came to the top of my head that has been helping me.
Wow, that is excellent advice. That is excellent advice. And then, in terms of establishing new friendships or relationships, I mean, a lot of times when you move someplace, it's difficult you have your friend group, maybe your friend group from college, your friend group from back home
Mhm.
before college. What are some of the things that you've done to sort of maybe meet new people? Or,
Yeah, I would say definitely be intentional. Like, so for me, being intentional looks like in the community spaces that I go in, just showing myself to be friendly. So, like, introducing myself, being kind, um, not operating in a place that's not authentic, right? But showing myself to be like someone that is interested in possibly building a relationship and not setting an expectation on who or what those people will be in my life. And so I feel like, again, being intentional, but allowing things to happen organically, because I feel like the right people that's supposed to be in your life, they're going to show up. If you're showing up and you're being authentically yourself and you're walking through the process, you're walking through the journey, the people that are for you will be, they'll gravitate to you and vice versa. And so I would just say, just be friendly, be open, um, and don't force stuff. Don't
mm,
force it.
mm.
Mhm.
You know, what you described throughout our talk is this journey that you've been on and what I call purpose positioning, the journey to learn
Mhm.
yourself, love yourself so that you can be yourself authentically and
Yeah,
unapologetically. So I guess, you have a lot of courage because there are some people who could say, it's hard for me to put myself out there for fear of rejection. You know, and that's very real.
it
It took me a
is.
while to be able to get comfortable with rejection. So
Mhm.
what would you say to that? Have you struggled with that fear of rejection, and then how do you again
Absolutely.
how do you move past that? Mm.
I feel like that's something I'm still walking through. I think that when I think about rejection, I think that I look at it as like a obstacle in a sense of like, and it's like very parallel to failure. And it's like when I think about me taking the opportunity, whether that's to pursue a friendship, pursue a job, pursue a ministry opportunity or whatever, it's like on the other side of this, it's a yes or a no.
Mm,
But I don't want to feel regret of not doing something. And so for me, I do it. I be scared. I'm nervous. I go through this whole internal just battle, but I'm gonna be there. I may be shaking in my boots. I may be nervous. I may be unsure of myself, but I'm here. And so
mm,
again, those little steps, like I'm not letting go of this process.
mm,
So I'm gonna show up the best that I can and just allow God to do the rest.
mm. So tapping into your faith. And I'm going to even add one more to the yes, the no, because there's a yes, there's a no, but there's also a not now. And
Yes,
so,
yes,
so some of those things, some of those jobs per se that we, that next career step that we may feel we're ready for.
yeah.
God may say, well, I'm still doing some work on you, in you,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing some work in that place to prepare them for you. You know, so
Right,
so so sometimes it's a not now, but our spirit shouldn't be crushed by the not nows,
right, right.
and those we'll take the not nows as a no, but really,
Mm-hmm.
you know there's some that are hard and fast no's, but there are others that are, not now. So that the good way to respond when you can't tell the difference between a no and a not now is to do sort of what you've been talking about, staying open
Mm-hmm.
and not being
Mm-hmm.
bitter, and understanding that my time is coming, and
Mm-hmm.
affirm that, my time is coming. And if
Right,
this isn't the place, there is a place for me. And
right.
and
That's
believing and affirming that there is a place for me.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I agree. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. But I think with that is like still showing up because you have to continue to show up,
Yes.
and so
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the hard part. It's like you just gotta show up, just show up,
Yeah. And the
show up, show up.
tenacity, right? That if it's
Yes,
no, okay, it's no to this place, but there's other jobs. There's other people
right,
who would befriend me, who find the value within me. So
right.
continuing to put yourself out there. That's one thing that my husband said he loved about me, is that,
Mhm,
oftentimes he said, he would come across some women who would not have had positive experiences with men, or had
mhm,
few positive experiences with men. And, they came in with a spirit of negativity, or a spirit of,
mhm,
okay, you're not to be trusted or believed, without even
mhm.
knowing the person. So the person would have to
Right.
spend time just trying to break down that wall
Mhm,
before they could even get to know, the person. And, that's a
mhm.
lot of work.
It
It
is.
is a lot of work to have to, you throw assumptions on people based on your past
Mhm,
experiences. And
mhm,
that's one thing that I evolved out of. Now, if he would have met
mhm.
me a decade prior, he would have maybe found me in that space. But
Right, right.
But I really did. I can say that I have met, many good people in my life, really good
Mhm,
men in my life. And I would say to my girlfriends, and said, he's a good man. He's just not my man,
mhm,
and,
mhm, mhm,
you know,
mhm.
and, but to be able to identify my man when he came, I had to know who I was. I had to love me first before I could love him. And then I had to
Right.
and know I had the courage to show up and be who I really was. Because if I tried to show up and be who I thought he wanted or needed, I would be doing myself the biggest disservice. And
Right,
I
and
I
it's so exhausting.
it's
It's so
exhausting,
exhausting.
isn't it? Trying to be
Yeah.
somebody else, or trying to be who you think you should be as a woman, as a professional, as a so
Mhm.
yes, it's so much easier to be able to release that. And imposterism shows up not just in the workplace, it can show up in our social lives too. But
Mhm. Mhm.
so I really want to thank you for this conversation today. I think our audience, I know that they're going to have a lot of gems to take away from some of the great advice you gave. And I'm appreciative.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for always pouring into my life. Dr. J, you are amazing. You have always thank you for having the courage to share your life with me, because you have always been so open about your journey.
Thank you.
Always.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
So, to the audience, thank you again for joining us on another episode of the Better Not Perfect podcast. If you haven't caught season 1 yet, I encourage you to go back. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. Just search Better Not Perfect. And if you can't find it in any of those places, you just come right onto my website, www.drshaybutler.com. That's www.drshaibutler.com. And you will find it there. Until next week, have a better day, a better week, and a better life. Thank you.